and it became one of the most fulfilling partnerships of my life. I decided it when I saw her for the first time on a TV show. I had never seen her before. I will accept her identity regardless of who she is. I'm willing to risk everything. A legend is someone who has been around longer than any movie star, a Hollywood heartthrob. Robert Redford was more than that. He embodied the ideal man whom all men admired and women adored. However, the Sundance Kid was a guy whose heart was weighed down by love, hidden behind his golden grin and irresistible appeal. A love he could never fully release, a love he had found and then lost. Redford, at the age of 89, is uncovering the 6 ladies who had a profound impact on his soul, his first wife who supported him before he became famous. The tragically prematurely deceased Hollywood goddess. His emotions were like a blaze that he could never put out. The potential confidant, who was more. Also, the one woman who managed to calm his racing emotions. This is not a tabloid story. These are the unspoken realities about the guy the world believed it knew, the first love that shaped his youth. Join us for the ride because Robert No film was been made of Redford's most heartbreaking love stories. Above all, Lola Van Wagenen, the one he loved first and forever. The legendary Lola Van Wagenen existed long before Robert Redford's fame, accolades, and magazine covers. She wasn't on the rise as an actress or a Hollywood starlet. A historian by trade, she was a reserved thinker who preferred to avoid the limelight. That was just what Redford needed when he was younger. An individual genuine, someone reliable, someone who could perceive him not as a legendary figure but as Bob. While Redford was still a young man with vague aspirations, he and his bride tied the knot in 1958. Lola had faith in him before anyone else did, even before the cameras started rolling. They raised a family together, balancing the needs of 4 children, while attempting to make sense of a life that was about to become anything but ordinary. But the storm that ripped apart their marriage was the very accomplishment for which Redford had labored so valiantly. Distance is never forgiven in Hollywood, and Redford's career required it on a daily basis. Everything from staying up late to traveling to the strain of celebrity, these stresses fractured their marriage. They secretly separated in 1985 after being married for over 30 years. 2 people who understood they couldn't fix their differences came to terms with the fact that they had grown apart in ways that wouldn't make headlines. However, even though their marriage was ending, Lola was always a part of him. Redford frequently praised her in subsequent interviews, occasionally tinged with a subtle melancholy, as if she had held a special place in his heart. She had more than one role in his life. Those years he could have been a pioneer. She was his rock, become famous. Also, anchors have an impression on the soul long after they're released. 2. The star-crossed romance including Natalie Wood from the co-star who captured his heart. Robert Redford triumphed over the studio system and the paparazzi in the golden age of Hollywood in the 1960s. Crosses paths with Natalie Wood, a woman whose beauty bordered on mythical. Natalie had already become one of the most alluring leading ladies of her time and had grown up on screen, so she was already a princess of Hollywood by that point. As he continues to carve out his niche among the greats to Redford, she was an enigma who happened to be a colleague. They collaborated on multiple films, the most notable of which are This Property is Condemned, 1966, and Inside Daisy Clover, 1965. Their chemistry was palpable when they were on television. Natalie, the frail dreamer, and Redford, the charming drifter seen as a whole, they appeared to embody a generation's restless soul. Off-screen, rumors of a more profound bond started to trail behind them. Redford stood for something new to Natalie, who had spent her whole life under the Hollywood light. A reclusive thinker who resisted the need to be industry ate them alive. Natalie, played by Redford, was a radiant and delicate lady, whose on-screen strength belied the inner turmoil she was experiencing. According to those who knew her best, Redford had profound feelings for her and could empathize with the disorder in her life. Their common ground, whether it was a brief love affair or an unspoken connection, it made an impression. Hollywood was rocked to its foundations by the terrible death of Natalie Wood in 1981. It served as a chilling reminder to Redford of how delicate even the most brilliant stars can be. Rarely did he bring her up in public, but on the rare occasions that he did, as if his recollection of her were too fragile to reveal in all its candor, his speech carried an air of gentle veneration. Although Natalie Wood's love was short-lived, it served as a poignant reminder that genuine connections, even among the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, are ephemeral, delicate, and unforgettable. The third one is A Clash of Fire and Ice by Barbara Streisand. In comparison to Natalie Wood's The Passion That Burned Bright, Barbara Streisand was like a wildfire. Streisand and Robert Redford were both already famous when they starred together in 1973's The Way We Work. But neither of them could have foreseen that their union would release like a bolt of lightning. It was more than a love story in the film. Emotion, politics, and the inexorable march of time were the themes explored. Two main characters, Katie and Hubble, appeared to be more alike than they were different to the audience in their resemblance to Streisand and Redford. Streisand was the type of lady who savored every moment, radiating an unwavering intensity. In each scene, she added a sense of urgency, vulnerability, and intensity. In stark contrast, Redford exemplified composure and calculated behavior. Despite their obvious differences, the tension between them worked wonders on screen. They had just as complicated of a connection off-screen. Redford was the golden boy, as Streisand later confessed, and she had been enchanted by him. Redford, meanwhile, was quite guarded about his personal space and maintained his distance. His admiration for Barbara's courage had no bounds, and too much to handle. While she longed to delve into profound emotional connection, he frequently withheld it, embracing the solitude that characterized him. Despite this physical separation, The Way We Were went on to become a Hollywood classic, mostly due to the fact that viewers felt the film's authenticity. It wasn't mere acting that made Streisand yearn and Redford show restraint. Their personalities shone through, just as they had in real life. The film's tragic conclusion, in which love succumbs to fate, reflected their own incapacity to form genuine connections outside of the screen. He might have been the one that escaped for Streisand. The love tale that Redford could only experience in books, not in real life, persisted with her. Sonia Bra, the fourth one. The fervor that nearly engulfed him, as a result of a life-changing encounter with a woman. The 1980s were a golden age for Robert Redford in Hollywood when he was king of the screen, in addition to being a prolific producer and director. The contact with the electric energy Brazilian actress Sonia Bra occurred during this period of his life. Renowned across the globe for Braga personified sensuality, fire, and passion in her daring performances in Donna Floor, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, and her two marriages. She was like a tempest that Redford, who had spent so much of his life being cautious, could not turn his back on. There was more than meets the eye between them. It was profoundly spiritual, as well as cultural and emotional. Bra brought the exuberance and energy of Latin America, a viewpoint drastically different from Redford's restrained childhood in Utah and California. She was captivating and unsettling in equal measure because she lived life unfiltered and without apology. At the time, Redford's close friends said that their connection was intense and unpredictable. Sonia Bra sent him into a whirlwind when Barbara Streisand challenged him and Lola Van Wagen grounded him. Redford lost his status as the storm's serene epicenter for the very first time. He was ensnared within it. Passion, though captivating, isn't necessarily a durable quality. It was in Redford's nature to seek security. Elevation was Bra's forte. Despite the fact that their universes intersected, they were unable to achieve harmony. Despite the fact that their romance has a lasting impression, Redford later mentioned Bra in interviews, praising her and calling her an unforgettable force of nature. Although she was neither the woman he married, nor the one with whom he created a life, Sonia Bra remained an enigma he could never fully extinguish. The lesson that desire may derail even the most self-controlled man. Up next, we have Sibylle Sagers. His heart was ultimately tamed by the woman whose love he couldn't let go. Sibylle Sagers had already met Robert Redford while he was already had a number of lives. He was the Hollywood A-lister who rebelled against the studio system and changed the face of filmmaking. From the glory days of stardom to the isolation of divorce and the pain of loss, he had experienced it all. Next, after that, he discovered a love that would last when no one else did. Sibylle never had a career in Hollywood. Redford has always found solace in nature's colors, and this artist, a painter of German descent, frequently included them in her works. During the 1990s, a time when they crossed paths, around the time when Redford had taken refuge in Sundance, Utah, more and more Unlike the ferocious ladies who had preceded her, Sibylle was a peaceful soul with a creative mind. The spotlight was not something she sought. She preferred the peaceful places that Redford loved. The tranquility of the mountains and woodlands was the perfect setting for their blossoming romance, rather than the mayhem of the studios and premieres. Their relationship appeared to be based on mutual respect and a desire to live a life away from the spotlight. They tied the knot in a small ceremony in Hamburg, Germany, after being together for over 10 years. Sibylle was a unique and precious item to Redford. Peace. She had been a rock during the stormy years. The quietness would be complete with his partner, who could sit quietly by his side. At the age of 89, with Redford while thinking back on his life, it becomes evident that Sibylle is more than just a chapter. The lady who gracefully accompanied him into the dusk is the final act. Sibylle provided tranquility when passion had earlier engulfed him. The most profound affection, at times, is tranquility. Jane at number 6. Fonda. The connection that was always merely platonic. With Robert Redford, the romance that never ended, has one of the most effortless Hollywood partnerships. Fonda Jane. Their infectious chemistry and amusing on-screen banter made them the center of attention in 1967's Barefoot in the Park. Viewing publics think they were destined to be together. Years and albums later, on 1979's The Electric Horseman and 2017's Our Souls at Night, the enchantment was there, stronger and wiser than before. Redford and Fonda were never actually romantically involved, despite the fact that they had many on-screen moments of tenderness and laughter. Rather, they personified an ephemeral bond, one that hinted at love but never really existed. Her political activism, dogged quest of truth, and defiance in the face of Hollywood's expectations were qualities that Redford greatly appreciated in Jane. Fonda, for her part, frequently commented about how much she loved Redford, going so far as to admit that she occasionally wished they had been not limited to only co-stars. The problem was that timing is crucial, and it was never theirs. Regarding his personal life, Redford was careful and guarded. He may have been afraid that Fonda's unique trust in him as a friend and partner would be shattered by romance, despite the fact that she regularly lived her life fearlessly and unabashedly in the spotlight. Some ties are too valuable to take a chance on, so maybe he was aware of that. The late-in-life reunion for Our Souls at Night was, according to both actors, like going home. As two elderly neighbors, they portrayed a couple who had lost a spouse but found love again in their golden years. An account that reflected what could were once. When they were on screen together, viewers had the impression that they were seeing something very intimate, a hint of what had always been elusive, not a long-lost love, but a remembrance of one. Jane Fonda was Redford's Jane. The fact that occasionally the finest romance is not the defining characteristic of a lasting relationship, rather, it is mutual regard, trust, and an unquenchable desire. The loves that molded a legend were captured in Redford's reflections at 89. From the outside looking in, Robert Redford's life has always seemed perfect, a never-ending reel of success, fame, and fortune. But beneath the myth stands a man whose soul was molded by love and loss equally. From the family he received from Lola Van Wagen to the vulnerability he felt from Natalie Wood, ranging from the inferno of Barbara Streisand to the devouring fervor of Sonia Brahe. He received a peace offer from Sybil Sagers, to the friend who may have been more, Jane Fonda. Every woman made her imprint. Every one of them added her own chapter to his tale. When Redford passes away at the age of 89, his films will live on, but so will the loves and losses that shaped him as a person. Tell me which story resonated with you the most. Post your opinions down here. Please like and subscribe to Legendary Archives if you enjoy discovering the hidden realities of Hollywood.